Have you ever wondered what the role of metabolic dysfunction plays on your hormones? We've got a functional medicine doctor with 40 years of experience from Canada with us today, so keep watching. So welcome back to another video with Question Time with one of our doctors. This is a program where we have doctors from all over the world discussing the latest in functional medicine, in TRT and HRT, and any other topic that our viewers are interested in. I'm here today with Dr. Ken Adams, a friend of mine and a doctor of over 40 years in functional medicine and integrative and anti-aging and wellness medicine. So welcome today, Dr. Adams.
Thank you, Michael.
So good to have you. So we've discussed before about the effects of metabolic dysfunction. Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean, about what it actually is?
Everything is molecular events and processes. You have 40 trillion cells in your body. Each cell has, on average, an average cell has been estimated to have 40 trillion atoms and molecules in it.
Okay.
As you get older, there's a reduction in the functional capacity of every cell and an absolute reduction in numbers of cells. So your heart can't contract and do as much work, so you get out of breath quicker and your endurance declines as you get older. Your functional mass of your liver to detox slows down, and liver function, all the other things the liver does are affected. The food you're ingesting every day is being incorporated in repairing and regenerating your cells. Now, what I try to do is empower people with insight to take control of so they know the actual cause, and they can actually take concrete steps consciously to improve their health. And a big part of that is understanding diet and nutrition. I have so many patients who over the years have told me that they're eating healthy, and when they tell me what they think is healthy, they've been misled by all the disinformation campaigns. The cell is in a constant state of degeneration. You just have to look at what happens when oxygen stops when your heart stops beating or you stop breathing, and oxygen, which is providing the energy to power all the repair and regenerative processes going on in the cell. You die very quickly. A cell is constantly repairing itself, and enzymes in a matter of hours or days are oxidizing, denaturing, and having to be replaced. And that replacement comes from your genetic coding. So genes are constantly being translated into a sequence of RNA molecules that then become peptides that form and become the proteins in the cell that become enzymes and metabolic machinery. The cell is in a constant state of repair and regeneration, and that your diet and nutrition is key to that. When those enzymes aren't being replaced, you can't process sugar, and when you eat carbohydrates, your sugar backs up in your bloodstream because your cellular machinery isn't metabolizing the sugar as quickly as it was. That's insulin resistance. That's the cause of obesity. That's the cause of cholesterol. That's the cause of heart disease. Insulin regulates the fat cells. So my book I'm writing is about going to teach people actually what causes them to become obese and how to actually reverse their insulin resistance, speed up their cellular kinetics so they can metabolize carbohydrates. When you require minimal insulin to eat carbohydrates, then you don't get fat. You can eat all the carbohydrates you want. That's why an 18-year-old or a teenager who just cut the grass on a hot summer day or did some more work outside in the heat goes in and drinks 2 big glasses of juice or pop. If you took a glass of plain water and put it beside a glass of juice or pop, and you'd have to put 12 scoops of teaspoons of sugar in that glass to make it as sweet as a juice, and a young person can drink 2 of those glasses. Now, your small intestine has a small, massive absorptive area the size of several basketball courts. And that sugar, 50% of that sugar, if the stomach's empty, will be in the bloodstream within 60 seconds. Within 3 minutes, 90% of that sugar is in the bloodstream. And that pancreas just releases a small puff of insulin, and the blood sugar doesn't budge, stays normal. Now they take that same person, they're 40 now or 45, and they got type 2 diabetes. They drink a quarter cup or an 1/8 of a cup of juice, and their blood sugar spikes up and takes 2 or 3 hours for their body to bring that sugar level down.
So why is an older person not able to metabolize in the same way as a younger person?
Basically, the enzyme systems are broken down and are waiting to be replaced. So thyroid and vitamin D they actually make all the enzyme systems in the mitochondria for creating ATP and energy to power those chemical reactions.
So people that live in more northern climates now, we're not getting enough vitamin D or D3 in the diet. So, and even people in some of the more sunny climates you sometimes see they get their bloods and they're deficient in vitamin D. So what's your recommendation?
Well, vitamin D boosts cellular energy and basically improves the metabolic output and ability to synthesize cellular repair for cell division. Vitamin D profoundly improves your cognitive function and affects your brain. There isn't a tissue or organ system in your body that isn't profoundly affected, negatively impacted by low vitamin D levels. Metformin, which is the top drug, #1 go-to drug for diabetics, it's been estimated that taking an optimal dose of vitamin D will be 2 to 3 times more powerful than the biological effect of metformin on diabetics, improving the glycemic index, glycemic profile of the diabetic.
What if we use vitamin D with metformin? Is there any negative effect from both together, or does it have a positive synergistic effect?
I would suspect there's going to be a synergistic effect. Metformin has other metabolic effects that are being widely touted as an anti-aging thing in its own. But when your cellular energy declines, the rate at which that energy is necessary for this, there's a flow of genetic information into new enzymes. So when you take testosterone, when you have low testosterone, there's a whole bunch of genes in the nucleus that are basically being opened up and actively transcribed at a much higher rate, and you're dramatically increasing cellular synthesis and repair. So testosterone increases the strength of the muscles, increases the collagen, your tendons and ligaments, your cartilage, all your structural components of your body get strengthened. There isn't a cell or tissue in your body that doesn't have receptors for testosterone. But when you're deficient in B12 or you have leaky gut and malabsorption and you're not getting the nutrients, which are the building blocks, or any of the cofactors, for example, trace minerals, every enzyme system has a mineral as a cofactor, or at least the majority of them do. Every metabolic pathway in the body requires germanium, selenium, chromium, calcium, magnesium as well, or iron is another key thing.
Part of the modern diet. Are people getting enough of these minerals that they need to replenish the enzymes from just the diet alone, or not? Or is there a specific diet to make sure you get all these nutrients, or are you a big advocate of adding in nutrients in the form of supplements?
The soils, with modern agricultural practice where there's no crop rotation, fields are left unplowed. Certain plants will send taproots down 20 to 30 meters and pull the minerals up. So in the fall, when those plants die and their leaves break down and get incorporated, they're remineralizing the topsoil. The field has been left fallow it takes 10 to 20 years for the topsoil to get its full nutrient capacity. And when you plow, there's a loss of biome. Just like your gut has a microbiome, the soil has a microbiome. And basically people that are true organic farmers know this. So when you're eating organically grown, it's not just organic. Organic just means it has minimum levels of pesticides and heavy metals and certain toxins are below a certain level. It speaks nothing of the soil type. That's biodiversity. The cell has incredible complexity to it. So when you're eating plants that are full of dark green color, the chloroplasts have all kinds of alpha-lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10. You probably have to take 60 supplements to get what you're getting when you're eating raw foods. Now, those nutrients get destroyed when food is cooked. So there's been as a society, we've been programmed to avoid healthy food. We abhor raw things. We're worried about bacteria. We're cooking the hell out of everything. A few seconds of heating that destroys more, there's more loss of nutrients than 12 months of refrigeration. The refrigeration itself also, the cells have to stay alive. They have to consume, metabolize their own molecular system. So there's a progressive loss of nutrient value when things are in refrigerated. Now, I've noticed in North America here that in Canada, you won't get Canadian grown carrots until they've been in cold storage for 6 months. So during the late summer, fall, when carrots would be harvested, they're put in cold storage, and we're getting stuff that's grown in southern climates that's been in cold storage. It's just ridiculous. This is nothing about saving money. This actually costs more money. They purposely make sure that everything is aged. Very hard to get locally grown produce, but that's what everyone should be doing. Getting back to hormones, when your liver is not, the enzyme systems and cellular energy is reduced in your liver, you're not removing testosterone, and you get buildup of the downstream metabolites, estrogen. Now, the body is 400 times more sensitive to estrogen than testosterone at the receptor level. So you only need 1 out of 400 of your testosterone molecules to be aromatized into estrogen, have a profound suppression of the pituitary gonadal axis. I've been using this principle for over 20 years now to basically restore the testosterone levels back to high normal range for men.
Without shutting down the pituitary axis. So you're saying in a man that's just going about their business, living the modern life, because of the slowing down of the enzymes in the body, or the liver slowing it down, they're not clearing enough of the metabolites of estrogen, then that's having a negative effect on this pituitary axis. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's a good summary. The conversion of testosterone to estrogen aromatizes the ring, creates an aromatic structure, releases a huge amount of energy, has a very low energy barrier, and happens spontaneously. So whereas cellular energy and kinetics slow down, the aromatization process doesn't slow down. And the net effect is that there's a huge increase in level of these estrogen and its metabolites, because estrogen is also being excreted and it's not being cleared. So what happens is, if you were to take someone who's waiting for a liver transplant, who's near death with profound liver disease, you would see 0 testosterone and 100% estrogen. See, normally about 5% of your testosterone is coming from the adrenal gland. When the liver's removing a large amount of hormones every day, more than 90% is coming from the testicles. But when the liver slows down, so now the liver is only clearing a small fraction, and you have this much is from the adrenals, and it's triply aromatized now, highly aromatized. You're now having a high level of estrogen, super physiologic levels of estrogen, and no testosterone. Now, that sustained level of estrogen is keeping the LH and FSH shut off, so the testicle drops to 0. But the same thing happens to a woman with liver disease. Her ovary is shut down and she's not ovulating.
So you're referring to people with this severe liver disease getting the shutdown, not the general population who normally go on TRT.
I'm just talking in that
The
situation.
most severe cases.
You wouldn't find any testosterone in the body, or it would be just an absolute trace amount. It would be out of the range.
So we all know that estrogen plays an important role in the body. It has, potentially cardiovascular protective effects, but you're saying that this ratio between testosterone and estradiol is disturbed, causing further shutdown down the road. And then eventually, wouldn't that lead to having less estradiol as well? If you've got less testosterone being made, you're not going to have as much estradiol as a metabolite.
What you see, Michael, is it's actually estrone that is good, and its metabolites, which is very good. You'll see estradiol is higher than the estrone. But when the more metabolically shut down someone is, you'll see the estrone going maybe 4 times higher than the estradiol. But I find in young women, when I check their estrogen, the most 20, 30-year-old teenage women will have the estradiol is greater than the estrone.
Okay.
But those that have PCOS or have more profound aromatization, they're more metabolically dysfunctional.
Okay, so you get this build up both in men and women of this imbalance of testosterone and estradiol, which then may further shut down the pituitary axis. Now, we're not saying that estradiol is necessarily bad or good. It's just what can happen in some men with this metabolic dysfunction. Is that right?
That's correct. Now,
Okay.
another thing, when you're metabolically shut down, you have metabolic dysfunction. In its more pronounced states, you'll have metabolic syndrome, obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, hypertension. The liver also clears, besides clearing testosterone and estrogen, and you're getting a buildup of downstream metabolite of estradiol. There's something called a mineral corticoid that causes the kidneys to retain sodium that is also not being cleared. And I believe that this slowed hepatic function is the cause of hypertension in people with metabolic syndrome. You've heard this from me. You won't hear this anywhere else. I figured this out several years ago. The other thing that happens when you go from 10% body fat to 30% body fat to 50% body fat, to keep your hormone levels at the correct concentration, if you triple body fat, you have to triple the amount of estrogen or testosterone in the body to achieve that concentration. So people that are, because there's a fixed rate of clearance, when someone compare someone who's went from 10% body fat to 30%, they have takes 3 times longer for their body to clear all the estrogens, downstream metabolites, and you get 3 times as much aromatization. So the fact is that you're not aromatizing at a higher rate. It's liver is removing it slower.
So thank you, Dr. Adams, for coming on. If you want to get more information from Dr. Adams, go to his website called askdrkenadams.com, and you can message him over there. And if you liked what you've seen on this channel, we'll have some other episodes with Dr. Adams. Please subscribe, press like, and leave your comments. And if you have any other topics you'd like to talk about, we'd be happy to bring it up next time with Dr. Adams. So thanks again, Dr. Adams, and we'll see everyone next time.
In your channel.